Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Annalisa and this is Homemade Sunshine. So in this week's video, I'm going to be sharing 5 reasons why I thrift and shop secondhand and why you should also. So I have a long history of thrifting, shopping secondhand. I grew up doing this before it was cool. It's been cool, of course, in the past few years to shop secondhand, shop vintage, all of that sort of thing, but I've been doing it long before it was cool, and I've come up with 5 reasons why I do it and why I think you should too. And I feel like it's very interesting now with the internet to see, like, there's a lot of reasons why people shop secondhand, and it can be vastly different for different people. Even the type of secondhand shopping that people do can be so different. You know, you've got your high-end designers buying like antique vintage pieces that are of course secondhand to put in like some celebrity's house, but then you've got, like, you know, regular people thrifting also. So my first reason is that it is, of course, better for the environment. You're buying things on their second time around. You're not contributing to an excess of clothing being made. I totally get it. Like, you know, I'm not here to demonize your choices for your family with your dollars. 100% not here to do that. But it is better environmentally for you to shop secondhand. It's already out there. You're not contributing to excess waste. I watched the documentary The True Cost when that first came out, and just how much excess clothing there is in the world, and especially in the United States. How there's like almost even too much for thrift stores to be able to sell. Like, for example, when I lived in Virginia, there was a thrift store that had these little tags, and they would mark them down, started at one price, and they would mark it down. I think it was either 2 or 3 times. I'm not really sure. But by the last markdown, if it didn't sell in a week, it got bagged up, and I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if they recycled it or they lit it on fire. I have no idea what they did with it after that, but it got baled. You know, it was all taken off the floor. And you would see stuff that I know people would want, like new with tags jeans or new with tags dresses, and like, or even used ones that were good brands, but there was nobody there to purchase them. This especially happened in plus size, which was really crazy because, of course, it's hard for people to find plus size clothing anyways, especially secondhand. But our plus size clothes hardly sold ever. Like, they just would sit on the rack, and you'd see, of course, really nice brands, Talbot's, Chico's, Torrid, Lane Bryant, all of those, you know, regular nice brands of plus size clothing, and it would just get bailed. So if somebody either A, didn't come in that was their size, or B, wasn't a reseller, then it just got thrown out. It was not able to make its way to its new home. So there's plenty of clothing for everybody at the thrift store. If you see what happens at the Goodwill bins, and when they take those bins off, you know, they go out into the ether. So it's nice to save things from the landfill any way that you can, especially because a lot of those items are still useful. There just might not have been somebody that came into the store in that amount of time before it got pulled and sent away. So also, it of course saves you money. So if you watch my other thrifting videos, I usually purchase most things for myself at $1 or 50 cents, which totally understand is rare. I live in the area that I thrift in. I live in the middle of nowhere. I drive where I go to thrift is in a very low income area. So our thrift stores there are very inexpensive. It's a historically low income town, city area. So the thrift stores are very inexpensive, because if they make themselves more expensive, then nobody buys it. So I completely understand that that is not what the majority of people experience. I watch people on YouTube, and especially in like California and Florida, and I am aghast at the prices. But overall, it will still save you money if you needed that item. Say like there was a nice winter coat. Some thrift stores might charge you $10 for a nice winter coat. Well, if you needed it and were going to buy it anyways, it's better to save some money than no money at all. So, or if you have like yard sales, better to save some money than no money at all to get it and just be saving at least some money versus having to go buy all of your clothing, or home goods, accessories in the stores. Not that there's not ways to save money in the stores. So if you watch some of my other videos, you'll know, I think they call it like retail arbitrage, where you go and get things really cheap from regular retailers. So I do that as well, but that's totally separate topic from this. So of course, it saves you money, and how much it saves you depends on where you live, what kind of stores you have access to. If you've only got a Goodwill, then you know you're not going to be able to save as much money. Some Goodwill outlets are even more expensive than others. And I just don't know, depending on your area, how much you'll be able to save, but overall, it should save you money. You'll also have less buyer's remorse, because I think we almost all have that experience where you buy a new top from the store and then you immediately ruin it. Either you dry it and it's not supposed to be dried in the dryer, or you get paint on it and you can't get it out, or it gets caught on something and it rips. When you're not paying as much for it, especially when you're paying the price as I am, $1.50, if it rips or it tears, you're just kind of like, oh well. I had a beautiful Lauren Conrad blouse that I thrifted for 50 cents. Loved it. It was green and white polka dot, really pretty. It immediately, the shoulder ripped, like after 2 washes. Totally ripped, totally gone. So I was like, wow, I'm glad I didn't spend like, I don't know how much that is normally in the store, like $25, $30? I don't know. I don't go in the regular stores very much. So I didn't waste all that money. I just wasted 50 cents. And I was like, well, oh well. I mean, I have other tops. I'll just wear something else. That's another good thing if you do shop secondhand, to sometimes either browse online or go, I like to browse in the store, which is, you know, the most fun, and see what these brands are normally priced, because usually that'll, like, I say, like, checks you if you're like, oh wow, this is actually an expensive brand. Like, especially for things you find all the time. Like, I find Talbots constantly. I find Talbots everywhere I go, all over the place. I find a lot of Chicos, and then you have to kind of remind yourself, like, looking on the website, like, oh, this is, like, expensive. Like, this is an actually expensive brand. Or, because the more times you see it at the thrift store, you start to think it's cheapy sometimes. I mean, not everybody, but I feel like that. I'm like, oh yeah, well, I mean, this is just Talbots. And then I'm like, oh, well, Talbots is actually pretty nice. So, less buyer's remorse. This also goes along with less buyer's remorse. If you try something and you don't like it, the more you thrift, the more you'll come up with your own set of rules of what you actually like to wear. And give this video a like if you want to see me do that kind of a video where I share the things that I know that I definitely will not thrift, especially clothing wise, the things that you like learn that you do not like, and how that can help you with thrifting and shopping secondhand, because you have a set of rules of things you absolutely will not purchase. And I have to remind myself that, because just because it's cute on the hanger does not mean it's going to look cute on me. Just because it's a home decor item that looks cute doesn't mean it's going to look good in my house. We all have different vibes. I live in Eastern Tennessee. If you live in South Florida, we're not going to be probably decorating our homes the same. Or if you live out in Oklahoma, we might not be decorating our homes the same. In the same vein as that, it lets you try new things and find more unique items. So you get to try new things with regards to different cuts, colors, styles. I love, I keep talking about clothes, but we can pivot to something else like books. It lets you try new books without paying $20 a book, and then the book stinks. Because sometimes you try a book and it's really not that good. Or maybe you'll try a kitchen item secondhand, like maybe an air fryer. And then you're like, oh, I actually do not like the air fryer. I'm one of those people. I'm so sorry, I do not like the air fryer. I donated mine 2 moves ago. So lets you try new things. You don't have to spend so much money. And if you try it, you don't like it, you're like, okay, well, at least I didn't spend $50, $100, however much it was originally. And you get to try it, just see if you like it. With books, with home decor, sometimes you think, you see something in the store, you think it's gonna look cute and you bring it home, which you might be able to counterpoint this and say, well, if you buy it from the store, you can just return it. I feel like I see a lot of things on social media about people forgetting to return stuff. That's not a problem I have, but I know some people don't remember to return stuff. I don't live super close. I live close to some things, but most things not. So if I buy something and I don't like it and I have to return it, and it's gonna take me 45 minutes to drive there, or an hour and a half, depends on what kind of a store it is, then I am not really, you're probably not going to end up returning it because you're not gonna drive that far. But if it's secondhand, you bought it cheap, you're gonna be much happier in the end if you don't end up liking it. My last tip for why I thrift and shop secondhand is less decision fatigue, and that all the brands are accumulated for you. You don't have to shop like 80 million stores. This is what I used to love about yard sales, is you found your like closet match, which is somebody else who wears your same size and has the same taste as you. That's the best thing that can ever happen, whether thrifting or at a yard sale, is you like go through the rack and you're like, oh, somebody my size donated all of this and it's all my vibe. And you don't have to shop all over the mall, all over the internet, paying different shipping rates, or having to spend your entire day at the mall finding all these different stores. I do not love having to shop 80 million stores. Like, I think today I'm wearing, is this J. Crew? I think this is J. Crew. It's J. Crew Talbot's like J. Crew. I'm wearing a J. Jill top. I'm wearing Levi's jeans. It would be annoying to have to go to all those separate stores to find these different items. At least it would annoy me. You also have less decision fatigue. If I go in a store, if I have the means and the money to go in a store and buy clothing full price, I wouldn't know what to pick, because if there's one shirt and it's in 6 colors, I'm like, how am I supposed to pick which color it is? I'm not used to that. I'm used to something like this where it's like, okay, here's the shirt. Do you like this shirt? This is the one shirt. There's no other colors. This is it. So to me, that's easier because I either like it or I don't like it. And if I like it, I buy it. But this shirt in particular, I actually have it in 2 colors, which is why I know that it comes in other colorways. I thrifted both of them from the same person, most likely, because they were at the thrift store at the same time. I can say, okay, these 2 colorways. But when I've shopped online before and I've seen, especially somewhere like Amazon, which I don't buy clothing on Amazon, but I've seen people recommend things on Amazon. When I've clicked their link and looked at it, I'm like, oh, how would I choose? There's 30 colors of this. That's just too many choices. I don't like a whole lot of, I don't mind choices in my own closet. I do not like a lot of choices in the store. It's much easier if you go to a thrift store and you see a shirt and you say, okay, do I like this shirt? Yes or no? And if it's no, you just keep moving. Same thing with books. If you had to take me to a Barnes & Noble, it'd be overwhelming. Plus, you get, with regards to like, it's just like the saving money point I said earlier, you're able to get more of what you actually love because you're spending less money. Like I'm looking in my corner over here now, which would probably kill some of you. It's all of my guidepost books for the most part. That's what some are the Elm Creek Quilters series. But I've been able to get all of these beautiful guidepost books from shopping secondhand, whether from my library's book sale, which they just did, and I got a lot of books there, or thrift stores, or free little libraries, all of those things. I've been able to accumulate them and read through them, and then I can pass them along. And it's easier to pass them along when you haven't paid a lot for them. Which I think I'll throw in here as a bonus 6th tip with regards to decluttering, because most stuff that you have now, you will probably at some point declutter in your life. I mean, especially for me, I'm 25 and some things maybe I'll have my whole life, but my clothes, I'm sure most of them I will not, because, you know, your body changes, clothes don't last forever, styles change, what you like changes. But it's easier to declutter when you haven't spent a whole lot of money on something. It just is. If you spent, you know, $20 on a book, you might feel like you need to keep it. Or you spent, you know, $50 on a mirror, then you're gonna be like, oh man, I really should keep that. I spent so much money on it. Even though you've already spent the money and the money's already gone. But it'll be easier for you to declutter things if you just get rid of it now. and you've not spent a whole lot of money on it. It's easier to get rid of it when you haven't spent $100 on it, $50 on it, something of that nature. So those are my 5 reasons, plus a bonus, number 6, 5 reasons why I believe you should thrift and shop secondhand, and why I thrift and shop secondhand. I love it. It's like a game to me. There's just, you never know what you're gonna find. There's so many amazing things out there, and even depending on where you live, there's different things that you can find, different places. Different brands are more popular in different places. I mean, like, I'm sure the Pacific Northwest doesn't get a lot of Lilly Pulitzer, but I'm sure if you go to South Florida and Palm Beach, there's tons of it. Or if you, for example, when I lived in Virginia Beach, I never saw outdoorsy shoes like Chacos or Keens very much. Whereas here, East Tennessee or Western North Carolina, a lot more people have Chacos and Keens and Merrells and those kind of shoes. Whereas the beach people would donate, you know, little bitty flip-flops and that sort of thing, whereas I don't find that sort of thing here. So it's a wonderful hunt. It's a great hobby. It's a great way to furnish your home and clothe yourself and all of those things. So if you enjoyed this video and would like more thrifting tips, I have a lot of ideas in my head of thrifting tip style videos, then give this video a thumbs up because that lets me know that you are enjoying it. And please consider subscribing. I do lots of thrifting and frugal living content, because they kind of go hand in hand automatically. Thrifting, frugal living, they're BFFs. So I hope you enjoy this, and I will see you next week. Bye.